let's time travel to the past. Let's go back to the days of Chronicle of a hip
We can
hop
do that. We could do that.
Chronicle book, because that was ahead of its time. It was the first hip hop literary series with fantasy in it. Yo, Zach, can you like talk about that, man? Because you see a lot of these blurred, and what blurred mean is you have black people that's into the comic world, cosplay, you name it.
I love the comic world.
We
I love it.
infuse it in hip hop. We were doing this 5 years ago. So can you talk about that, bro?
Yeah, well, I mean, the book started, from D.D. Turner, my man Derek, he was the, creator of the book. And, I just came aboard as the co-creator and just giving my incentive and my ideas for it. And, we were in high school together, so we did it, we spent a lot of time just chilling, man. And when the book came around, it was originally supposed to be a comic book. You know what I mean? And we had, rest in peace to my man Juan Dowling. Juan was an incredible illustrator, bro. Like, his work is incredible, man. You know what I mean? And just from looking at it, his work, and me being a fan of comics, I was like, yo, that's it. Like, I want to be a part of this. You know what I mean? And we got it going, bro. Like, we were printing our own books, like, in Grand Central Station, man, in Derek's old office where he worked at. So it was like certain things in the universe just sprung this all together, man. And, and the characters, everything, man. And, we his name was Chris Ellison was the main character in the book. And, he was, chosen to save hip hop. The and of course, the villain was a whack MC. You know what I mean? That couldn't get a record deal.
Does art imitate life or life imitate art at this point?
Every time he touched the microphone, like, all you heard was feedback, so that was his name, Feedback. You had Dahlia, another villain. I mean, the story was bananas, bro. You know what I mean? And it was way ahead of his, and I felt like, I felt that. I felt like this was ahead of his time, and we wanted to get it done. So what we did was we tied, education into the book. You know what I mean? Like, so we tied math, we tied arithmetic, we tied social studies, history, we tied all this to the book, so we can sort of like teach you about the culture while, giving you jewels and gems on everything else. You know what I mean? And it just felt like more of a service. You know what I'm saying? Like something to give back. You know what I mean? In a different kind of way. So we stepped out to the Board of Education in the beginning, bro. Like, we stepped out to district offices all over Brooklyn, going out and to the it was the arts department. You know what I mean? So what really hit the nicks for me was one time when we went to, I think it was District 19. And this was when the Board of Ed had an arts fund. They would, this before all the cutbacks and all that. So we went there with a poster, and we were like in awe because these older folks took us in. They were just like, yo, young folks are doing this, man. We were like, yeah, and they were like, you taught lessons in math and like, they were so amazed that it was something of people of color, and we all looked alike, and they started parading us around. So I felt that this was something else to come. But you know what happened? The more the more that we got around, it was like the more this whole cutback thing was arising. So in the middle of it, before we can even launch out, there were like major cutbacks. So of course, it threw us in that loop. So but you don't stop, you keep going. And that's where, the whole novel, series kind of came about. You know what I mean? And it was a beautiful thing, man. And we had a lot of readers, and then that's where, we came along with the radio show Ish. You had a lot to do with that because, it was incredible how, we can take an idea and it just formulates to a whole nother world. You know what I'm saying? And I never would imagine that I was like sitting on a radio show and I could like interview and talk to Sadat X, or you know what I'm saying, or Arrested Development, Leroy from The Last Dragon, you know what I'm saying, or or Fred, it was bananas, bro. You know what I mean? So I said, yo, man, the experience alone, you know what I mean, is something that you can't shake. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of young folks are missing that in their lives. You know what I'm saying? Like the experience. Like I got a chance to be on stage and to listen to it, to talk to a lot of people. You know what I'm saying? And now you get older and it's like, you can talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's bananas. Like even, Juju with IAmHipHop magazine. Like I'm looking at your magazine and I'm looking at the people you guys interviewed, and I'm like, yo, this is bananas. You know what I'm saying?
Love to take credit for that, but that's all Rishma and crew there, bro. Like I jumped on officially with the magazine probably about, I think maybe 2-3 years. No, actually, no, it's a bit longer than that. Probably about 4 years. Been working with them, but yeah, no. Once again, yeah, like the fact that she just grinds. She just reaches out and gets connects. Sort of like the plug up there, him. Yeah, I'm talking about you, Mr. Elephant in the Room.
No, it's humble because right now I'm looking at the article from 2017 that IAmHipHop did on the Chronicles of a Hip Hop Legend, and it just brings nostalgia of how the nostalgia of hip hop and the comic book world was influenced. That was a perfect match. If you go back to the 80s, if you go back to Kid and Play. Kid and Play had a comic book. They had a cartoon series. Even MC Hammer had a cartoon series. And it was facts. And so to put those two worlds together, it made sense. And then also you see nowadays, you see teachers utilizing TikTok as superheroes to get their kids engaged into school because due to the pandemic, there's not much they can do about it. But it's crazy that this concept is nothing new, but to put it into like a book and then an audio and then transition it from an audio book to a radio interview show, it made a lot of sense. And it was ahead of its time.
Yeah, man. And even now, like I still, love it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I haven't listened to the book in a minute, but it's like, just thinking about it, it still brings back that nostalgia of me first, like going through the whole process. You know what I'm saying? Like just listening to it and looking at the characters develop, and I loved all that. I loved all that. You know what I'm saying? Like it was that ass, bro, because it's like, there's nothing better than doing what you love. You know what I'm saying? So, and when I was a kid, like I remember watching, y'all remember Akira?
Of course we did. That's the first official. Well, they called it a manga then, but if you want to be to everybody who listening who into this world, yes, I know it's the first official anime, but it was released by the publishing company Manga. So at that point, if you were, especially here in the UK, you didn't know the difference between a manga and a manga or an anime at that particular point. But I know we know the differences here. Sorry, please continue. Of course, I remember Akira. Also, it doesn't do anything to reading the seven long books of the whole Akira world, but it did good.
They tried to basically they tried to smash it all into one movie, but it wasn't parallel to the books. It was bananas. But like but this is what I'm saying. It's like if you were into this world, you were into this world. So to be able to to formulate something and to work with it, like it doesn't feel like work at all. You just feel like you're just having fun, enjoying what you're doing. You know what I'm saying? And that's the part that I love the most, because all this, it all evolves around hip hop. It all evolves around the culture. It all evolves around giving back, teaching something. And then on top of that, it turns into the radio show. You know what I'm saying? So then you get to interview people from the culture, that you grew up on around the time you were reading these books. So it's like it was all in sync. It was just like constant blows to the head, like bam, 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 bam. Like, oh, I loved it. You know what I'm saying? I loved it. And then on top of that, I remember when we were interviewing it was Ruck. You know what I'm saying? From Helter Skelter. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, right, you got rocked.
Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah. Yep. And we all grew up in the same neighborhood. So, it was crazy because we were talking and D brought up the point, like, my man Stats grew up in Brownsville, blah, blah, blah. He was like, well, word, what part, blah, blah, blah. So, you know, and it was crazy because I used to see this dude walking around all the time. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, you know, I'm watching videos, I'm mixing your records and shit. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just looking at you, just chilling. You know what I mean? So like this whole realm kind of kept me around that whole thing. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I get thanks, man, because you know, it's the culture is beautiful, bro. You know what I'm saying? And even now in this whole COVID situation, like if we would have like really stuck, you know, with the book, all the readers and all the attention that it was getting, you know what I'm saying? And these COVID times, it could, man, it could have been a show right now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? It could have been a series on Netflix, right? It could have been
very true. Very true.
Yeah. No.
You know what I'm saying? And yeah, man, it's crazy. You know,
yeah,
and,
man, for real.
And it's crazy, like when you talk about the main character, Chris, like we're all Chris because we're all purveyors of the culture, and we all have insecurities, but our hearts in the good isn't good in intentions. You know what I mean? And so, you know, I just loved his story because you followed his journey as this. He wants to be the hip hop legend, but it's things he had to go through to get to that level, and that's just in life in general, man. It's crazy how, you know, you look at it now today and how impactful it would be if it, you know, if the masses if it stuck and the masses had it. It's how impactful it would be when it comes to like father-son relationship, just home environment, I'm just getting goosebumps thinking about it, man. It's just crazy, man.
I mean, one thing I would say, sorry, go on, Stats.
No, I mean, I was going to say, like, it's crazy because, you know, like that situation, that storyline that was created around that book, it's like you said, Chris couldn't, you know, yes, he was a savior of hip hop, but he still had to go to school and get his stuff done. Like his moms wasn't having that. Rashawn was his boy, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, he was producer and, you know, and his parents, no, they wasn't having that. You know what I'm saying? So there was a lot of structure. There was a lot of, you know, things that it's like that's a universal, basically it's universal law to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we were giving you universal laws that would never change.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And at the time we didn't, you know, now at the time we didn't know what we were doing. You know what I'm saying? Like we were just having fun, but we wanted to make sure that, you know, like whatever was put out, it was put out with a certain, you know, for a certain reason with a certain cause. So things like this could be done. And then we could just go back and, you know, and you can always pull it back out. You know what I'm saying? And you know, and do what you want with it, man. And it's just bananas. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, it's a beautiful thing, man. And even like I look at, you know, all the content that's out now. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, and back then what we were doing, there was no need for content.
No.
There was no need for content, bro. Like you could literally make a song saying one word and everybody would buy it.
Yeah.
Wait, are we still not doing that? Okay, fair enough. Maybe time to change, and I missed it.
It really didn't change. You're right. You're right. You can still do it. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, but now you know the need for I'm seeing a lot more content, way more than before.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because before, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, it's still kind of the same, but you know, the need for content is a little more.
Yeah,
maybe.
I think it's because that's like a multi-layered cake there, and I think what I started to realize, especially of this space, for this is even before the pandemic, is when you're actually starting to find a lot of the younger generations going back to older music, because when we were growing up, like I was around with vinyl, tape, mini disc, CDs, you know, MP, like when MP3s went, I was there, I was alive when the first iPods were released and such, those big chunky things that, you know, if you had the money, you had the money to carry one of these around. But, you know, even for myself, I was thinking about it just, was it today or just yesterday? When I couldn't go out, or while just no one was out or doing anything at the time, I'd just sit in my room, potentially reading comics or drawing and just listening to music. But then also my music then passed on to like my sisters and such. And that's what, you know, you found, especially if you got like older brothers or the people that are really into their music. If you're in that environment all the time, that's what you're consistently around. But now with digital information being so fast and available, we just take what's thrown at us. And then what you start to realize is that a lot of people are now looking for deeper messages into stuff, or like you said, they're looking into more content. Say, for instance, like, for me to admit, 10 years ago that I was heavily into manga without being in the right community, I'm a full-on geek. Comics and all those things, you're supposed to leave those behind as you're a kid, or you're a weirdo. Now, as time's gone on and things like Marvel have, taken over, the TV screens and the big silver screens, when you that whole context of things has now kind of changed. It's like, oh, it depends on what you're really into. But if you still kind of look into Japan, then you'd be considered to be a weeb. So there's like so many different layers that kind of, tear this whole thing apart. But then it's like not just a case of content. I think it's context as well, which is like heavily needed. So I'm just going to use this opportunity to also plug, the twin brothers who started the first official, anime studio. Fully given 100% certification, Diarch Shatijo, I think is pronounced as, done by Arthel and Darnell Isom, who, and if I pronounce that wrong, sorry guys, but I'll try my best here. But yeah, they started their own official black anime company. But then there's even that whole stipulation of things. So there's still quite a lot being pulled from everywhere. And the reason why I'm going that route is because when you're saying it's like if we had it now and we could kind of create where we are, even though it was only for a bit, think about how many people the Chronicles of a Hip Hop, legend story, not just the case of the pod or the radio show, as we was calling it at a time when officially it is a podcast with what we'll call it today. Think about how many people it did touch and inspire, because now we've got things like Black Sands. They've been doing their thing. There's quite a lot of now young black artists and creators bringing, black characters to life, with which then tap into stories that aren't just mainstream and that genre kind of specific. And even though that comes with its own backlash, but yeah, you can say what you say with it. But you're definitely right. You're onto something, but it doesn't mean that the flame is gone. I think it's just kind of, you now have more experiences. There's more people out there that are doing their thing. So now there's a larger network of people to work with. And I think that's maybe a way of looking at it. Maybe not this very moment, but if anything, the pandemic has shown us one thing: have a hobby. Have something else that you, like you said, when it doesn't feel like it's a job. When you're creating, it's like, for me, it's just a natural thing. So I create, I do. It's like a brain puzzles or teasers. It's like you're working your own equations out how to kind of make this work with this and that work with that. So when you start constructing these things, this is where you create, and it comes something and people actually react to it. There's no other feeling more like it, especially when people start complimenting you, like, yo, man, like, yeah, that stuff inspired me to do this, and this stuff inspired me to do that, and or I didn't know that was possible. But that's a beautiful thing that you guys were doing. Sorry, but yeah, that's what I just wanted to say.
No, man, I appreciate. No, it's an awesome experience, man. It was a time that's in a place in history that I will always cherish, because I got to friend and become brothers of some great people that I'm on right now because of it.
Very true. Chin chin.